world mourns the loss of two stars of the brightest magnitude, Sammy Davis Jr. and Muppet creator Jim Henson. Hollywood has an irreparable ache in its heart as the legendary Sammy Davis Jr. and Muppet creator Jim Henson are dead. Entertainment Tonight looks at the lives of two of the world's brightest stars for Wednesday, May 16, 1990.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment Tonight. I'm John Tesh.
And I'm Mary Hart. He called himself simply a saloon singer, and don't mistake that for false humility. That's exactly the way Sammy Davis. In his lifetime, Sammy fashioned his talent and his generous heart into a legend. He lived to entertain others, and he personified show business. Today the show closed, but the encore of memories will remain.
Hey there, you with the stars in your eyes.
This is the way the world will remember Sammy Davis Jr. He's been entertaining us for so long, it's hard to believe he won't turn up on stage somewhere, stopping the show as only he could.
Separate the sorrow and collect of all the cream. The candy man.
But the man who did it all, and Sammy really did, from Las Vegas to Broadway, couldn't overcome his final battle with cancer. This morning, Davis's son Mark was overcome, but said in the end his dad was not suffering.
He was fine. He was comfortable.
What did he talk about?
Yes, thank you.
Just sleeping.
Sammy Davis Jr. was honored often in his life, but in his last year, the tributes and special occasions multiplied.
Merry Christmas, Sam.
Merry Christmas.
He was the grand marshal of last year's Hollywood Christmas parade, and he took great pleasure in it.
The spirit of the season, the feeling of the season, and I know my family and myself, we have so much to be thankful for, you know, this year particularly.
He accepted the NAACP's Hall of Fame award just weeks after radiation therapy.
I'd like to thank all of you who prayed for me.
He received a Lifetime Achievement Award earlier this year from the Professional Dancers Society. He told the audience he wouldn't have missed an event that honored his dancing ability.
Wasn't nothing going to stop me from getting this.
And of course, among the others, there was his spectacular 60th anniversary celebration, where he was honored by superstar after superstar.
Everybody has a breaking point.
Sammy also worked in his last year. He did a small part as the friend of a man who struggles to keep custody of his child after his wife dies in a TV movie called The Kid Who Loved Christmas. Although in pain, he told us it was important to keep busy.
I know I can't go out and sing an aria, but at least I can act, and it makes you feel that you're in the business and to be around good people.
That interview turned out to be his last. At its end, he said while he loved all the attention from friends and colleagues, he had a special place in his heart for his fans.
I'm talking about people in the street, hundreds of letters. We're praying for you. We lit a candle for you. That's special, and it's something I'll never forget.
When referring to himself in his autobiography, Why Me?, Sammy, with characteristic humor, said if he would have known he'd live this long, he'd have taken better care of himself.
Jim was born into a vaudeville act and was on the road with his family from the start. Looking back, he was a natural. Entering show business at the age of 4, Sammy made his first of the legendary Ethel Waters.
God's children, they got wings.
But Davis didn't stay put for long. He was 1/3 of his uncle's vaudeville act, the Will Maston Trio, with his dad, Sammy Sr., on the left.
This is the place that we started from. This is the stage we were born upon.
He got his big break when they played Ciro's nightclub in Hollywood in 1955. This made him a bona fide star, as he recalled the moment for us last year.
I knew it that night. This is my last chance. Do it. Do it. You're going to do it, or it's small time the rest of your life. You'll be working little joints around and never get that big opportunity, because this is as close as you're going to get. And at the end of 40 minutes, the whole club was cheering. And you walked off, and the first person that We were naturally being the opening act, we had to climb stairs to our dressing room. We get to the dressing room, and right behind us came Jerry Lewis and Dean. They walked in, and Jerry said to me, hugged me, said, "Hey, it happened for us. I'm so glad it's happened for you." He said, "Now I got some notes. Sit down."
Your rockabye baby when a day see
With friends like Lewis, who he liked to imitate, and Frank Sinatra, who made him a member of his Rat Pack, the not yet 30-year-old was on his way to superstardom, and the decades that followed were filled with appearances by a master entertainer.
Mr. Bojangles, come back and dance.
Growing up in grease paint, Sammy never had the chance for a formal education. While in vaudeville, the only way he got around the child labor laws was by acting like an adult. Sometimes he had to be billed as Silent Sam, the dancing midget.
Sammy weathered a stormy personal life. He was just hitting his stride in 1954 when he lost his left eye in a car accident. That might have stopped others, but Sammy was made of true grit and determination.
With a song in my heart.
Sammy was never one to shy away from taking a stand, personal or professional.
Hey, why you'll have the time of your life. Just make sure that you bring your wife.
He'd married a beautiful Swedish actress, had a large family, and had been a champion of civil rights. He's pictured here at the funeral of Dr. Martin Luther King. He worked hard for the Democratic Party and then shocked everyone by hugging President Richard Nixon. But kissing Archie was classic Sammy.
1, 2, 3.
Sammy worked hard, lived hard, and played hard.
If you get the title swinger, then you can't sit in the library all day. You know, you've got to go to a bar and be a swinger.
But Sammy proved that whatever problem he had with being black, Jewish, a husband and father, or with smoking and drinking, he always gave 100% to his friends in public.
Sam, you know I love you. I can't say it any more than that. You're my brother. And you're the greatest.
The nicest thing that happens to me is when I walk down the street, if it's Beverly Hills or in New York, just walking down 8th Avenue, man, somebody will say, "Hey, Sam, my man," or the truck drivers will go, "Sam, how's Frankie?" You know, whatever. It's like a one-to-one, like I belong in their house, and that's a good feeling.
He was also a modest man. When the legendary Fred Astaire used to call him a tap dancer, Sammy always would say, "Not around you, I ain't. Around you, I'm a singer."
My mama told me you better shop around. Oh yeah, you better.
Familiar pose, tuxedoed, bow tie undone, cigarette or drink in his hand. But when he sang, he would transform a song into a work of art, whether it was a ballad or a Broadway showstopper. It was a skill he learned from his father.
I was a tot, I sang before I talked. Believe it or not, I danced before I walked. My mama squawked, but Dad and Uncle taught me. They taught me everything I know.
Sammy Davis Jr. did originally learn his musical skills from his father and adopted uncle in the Will Maston Trio. As a child, he imitated their dance steps, eventually growing on their act. He lived with them for years, meeting old friend Frank Sinatra during those early days. After a stint in the Army during World War II, Sammy rejoined the trio in nightclub acts, singing, dancing, and playing.
I played every instrument because in the days that I came up in show business, vis-a-vis vaudeville, you had to know how to humor a line, you had to know how to sing, dance, or at least movement. But hoofing was my main thing. I learned to be a singer by being an impressionist.
Jimmy Stewart. All too well. Because of you, the sun will shine.
Sammy stayed with his uncle and dad into the 50s, where an appearance on the Colgate Comedy Hour brought them to national attention. He was signed soon after that to a recording contract. He finally went solo in 1954. He sang and danced in films, in plays, on TV, and in concert, becoming one of the most popular entertainers, black or white, of his time. His hit records over the years included Something's Gotta Give, I've Gotta Be Me, and The Candyman, his only #1 song.
Yeah, the Candyman can.
He never rested on his laurels and continued to perform up to the end of his life. He wowed him 2 years ago while touring with Frank Sinatra and Liza Minnelli.
And maybe then I'll know what kind of fool I am.
And on his 60th anniversary special last year, he wasn't able to sing, but proved he could still dance with the best of them. Among his many firsts, Sammy was the first black performer to star in his own variety show. That series aired on NBC in 1966.
Sammy was a consummate song and dance man, but he was also an actor. He starred in more than 20 movies, playing everything from a sergeant to a crook. But as Leonard Maltin shows us now, his most brilliant moments on screen were those which showcase all of his talents. Leonard.
Well, John, it's hard to believe all the different ways that Sammy Davis Jr. made his mark on the world of entertainment, and movies were no exception.
Yeah, it ain't necessarily so. It ain't necessarily so. They tell all you chillin' the devil a villain, but it ain't necessarily so.
The part of Sport and Life in the Gershwin opera Porgy and Bess was tailor-made for Sammy's talent, and he knew how to make the most of a show-stopping number like this. But that was nothing new. He'd done it before at the age of 7 in a 1933 short subject called Rufus Jones for President. Its racial stereotyping dates it terribly, but Sammy is still a sensation. In later years, he vied for screen time with other members of the fabled Sinatra Rat Pack in films like Ocean's 11, Sergeant's 3, and this one, Robin and the Seven Hoods. Straight acting jobs were more a novelty, but Davis did act in a number of dramatic pictures, including this 1966 film about a trumpet player, A Man Called Adam.
You don't know what it's like to sit up on a stand and blow your guts out night after night?
Unfortunately, many of Sammy's starring films didn't really do him justice. But then, just last year, Hap gave him a golden opportunity to act and dance opposite Gregory Hines in a loving tribute to tap dancing.
There's nothing he can steal. Yeah, Mo, put it on him. Put it on the floor, Mo. Put it on the floor.
This was Sammy at his best. The same Sammy around whom director and choreographer Bob Fosse built an entire production number in Sweet Charity back in 1969.
And the rhythm of life is a powerful beat. Puts a tingle in your fingers and a tingle in your feet. Rhythm in your bedroom, rhythm in the street. Yes, the rhythm of life is a powerful beat.
Fosse didn't have a leading role for Sammy to play, but he counted on him to stop the show with this flashy number. And Sammy delivered, just as he always did.
Flip your wings and fly to your daddy. Take a dive and swim to your daddy. Hit the floor and rock to your daddy. Yeah! Let me hear it. Rock it to me. Let it all hang out.
What a number. I can't lay claim to having been a friend of Sammy's, but I did get to meet him on a couple of occasions and learn firsthand what a nice man he was. And he was also a passionate movie buff, just crazy about the movies, which I think is one reason he was so thrilled to have been in movies himself.
He was a great friend to have.
He sure was. A wonderful
a lot.
man.
Thanks, Leonard. Nice tribute.
We'll be right back.
Tonight at 10, Hollywood greats remember one of the greatest, Sammy Davis Jr. Also, chaos erupts at the Chicago Board of Education. We'll have the latest. And an update on...
Jim Henson gave life to the Muppets. And his junior, Jim Henson, we're going to miss you both.
Bye.
Unlike our